It's day 249. I'm going to wrap this series up because the first episode got a lot of traffic, and it's one of those series where after that the interest really dies down. So thanks for watching. Um, this thing hasn't done very well over the last few months. Not that many green leaves left. I've trimmed and pruned, and I dealt with the spider mites, the wild type spider mites, as they came many months ago with insecticide. But this thing hasn't really recovered ever since. Granted, it is the winter when it probably doesn't grow anyway, but right now it's mid-January 2016. So you can see with all that diatomaceous earth and sand I put on the top layer, just disturbing that, sends these particles flying up into the air near the camera lens. Sometimes I'll wear one of those respiratory masks for this to prevent this stuff from going in, but it's not that big of a deal. I'd rather just care about having some clear goggles or glasses over my eyes so it doesn't get into my eyes, because I wear contact lenses anyway. I'm going to fast forward this so we can get to the point sooner. Soil's not very moist at all. Seems like there's no real way to see how much root mass is in there, but after I pulled like that, I realized how much there was. It was basically solid, and at the bottom the roots started encircling and formed a cage of roots. So they were amassed near the bottom, and basically mimic the shape of the bottom watering tray of this pot. I don't think I'll go with these kind of pots anymore because they flare out at the top where you actually don't need any space up there. It makes more sense actually to have a pot that flares out at the bottom, and it's more balanced that way, but I never seem to design these kind of pots this way. To the left you can see I have a cloth bag. This is something very recent that I've seen on Amazon.com. There are a few manufacturers that are selling that. I'm trying to get a new series started with that, and basically if you overwater in that, it just pours out from the cloth pores. It's a very coarse cloth that provides some structure, but it's obviously not going to be as rigid as plastic. So as you can see, it ends up being, after you get rid of say 90%, 95% of the dirt in this cage of roots, that the root system is actually way more in mass. It's way more substantial than the shoot system in this case. And I bet during the winter there's a lot of die-off of leaves and whatnot, and during the spring it'll all come back in the wild. So these roots have to compete with the trees that the vines are climbing on, the tree roots, for water next to riverbanks, stream banks, and places like California typically grow in riparian zones. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a close-up look at what that looks like so you can see what root encircling does. They claim in the new cloth bags, one of which I just showed you, that this doesn't happen due to air pruning because the soil near the edges and the bottom dries out. So going forward in the future for that other series that I'm starting, we'll see eventually if this happens. That spot that looks a little green is actually not green. It's just the spot where the outer layer of the root got rubbed off. I don't know if you call that a cuticle, or it's not right to call it bark. But anyway, yeah, there's that cross-shaped pattern. So this was getting way too big for its pot, and basically you can see what it would look like more or less if it were uninhibited in the ground. It would just kind of fan out downwards in a cone, not so much laterally. So yeah, that's basically what it looks like. It's pretty cool to see this. Thanks for watching this series, and I hope you'll keep coming back to my channel for future series.